This is a Motorola Xoom take apart repair guide. The first step will be to remove the two Torx T5 screws located at the bottom of the device. With the screws removed, we can now lift away the dock cover. We can now gently slide down the lower back cover. It is on a rail system where it has two stops. So pull the back cover down as far as possible until it is locked in place. And then using a pry tool, gently lift up the clips that are holding the slide in place. With both clips released, you can then pull the back cover fully away from the device. To remove the top cover, we'll need to remove two Torx T5 screws. With these screws removed, we can now gently lift up the top cover, being careful as it's still connected by one pop connector, which will need to be released. With the board exposed, our next step will be to remove the battery. Using a Torx T6 screwdriver, remove the 12 screws as shown in the video. There will also be two Torx T5 screws that will need to be removed. With all the screws removed, we can now gently lift up the battery, being careful as it's still connected by one wire connector, which simply needs to be popped out of the socket. Now begin releasing all the connections on the motherboard. To begin, we're going to start on the right side, lift away the tape holding the one jaw connector next to the speaker, then release the speaker cable and the speaker. From there, we'll remove the tape on the camera connector and remove the camera bezel. From there, we can release the jaw connector and remove the camera completely from the device. On the left side, we will have one more loudspeaker and one more jaw connector. On the bottom left of the device, we will have the LCD cable. Simply lift the bracket up and pull the cable out of the socket. And on the right, we'll have the touchscreen flex cable, which is a simple pop connector. We can now begin removing the 10 Torx T5 screws holding the motherboard in place. Notice that the two top T5 screws are gold and has a small golden bracket that will need to be removed as well. All connections and screws removed, we can now release the motherboard from the rest of the device. We now have 16 Torx T6 screws that need to be removed from the back housing. There will be one more hidden screw located underneath the touchscreen flex cable, which will just simply need to be lifted up as it is adhered in place. With all the screws removed, we can now separate the touchscreen assembly. Using a hairdryer or heat gun, begin heating the outside edges of the midframe, warming the adhesive holding the touchscreen in place. Heat both the front and the back for about 45 seconds. Once the adhesive is thoroughly heated, you can begin using a pry tool to begin releasing the adhesive holding the touchscreen in place. Work your way around all four sides, releasing the midframe from the touchscreen. Use caution when working around the flex cable, as the midframe is very thin at this point. Be sure to reheat the adhesive as necessary. With the midframe removed, you can now replace the touchscreen digitizer.